Hi guys, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? So today I'm going over Mars's retrograde transit from December 6th of this year, 2024, to February 25th of next year, 2025. Now this is roughly a 2.5 month transit, and it actually occurs in two signs, right? So the first half of this retrograde roughly is in Mars's debilitation sign of Cancer, and the second half it moves back into Gemini, okay? I'm going to discuss these two independently. Now, starting off with the first one, Mars' retrograde debilitated transit. The scriptures say that a planet that is retrograde but debilitated behaves as if it's exalted. To me, in my opinion, this could not be further from the truth. However, a lot of people do not value this logic, right? Why is that? Because they think this means that a planet should give material results according to their own exaltation expectations, which is not true, right? So it's a whole bunch of series of false assumptions that make them not want to value this. And I've already said in a couple of the videos, you can watch that, like my exaltation video, that just because a planet is exalted does not mean materially it's going to give great results. Okay, it's materially planets give the best results in their own sign, right? Exaltation, it gives the best result for, you can almost say, spiritual elevation, right? Anyways, moving forward, you can watch more about that on that video. So Mars, right? It gets debilitated in Cancer, right? Just real quick, why? Mars is like a warrior, you can almost say, right? Now, Cancer, it's kind of giving like nanny energy, right? A warrior is not going to do a great job. It has no anything to learn spiritually from doing a nanny's job, right? And then just real quick, the exact opposite, which is Capricorn, right? Is exaltation place. Capricorn is like very like disciplined, routine structure. You put a warrior on like that kind of routine or plan or whatever, it's going to do pretty good, okay? It's going to excel and grow in its own way. So that's that. So Mars, right? It's debilitated in its sign of Cancer, right? And so overall, you could feel a little bit more frustrated and emotional and ungrounded in the areas that Mars represents. Now, it's retrograde, right? So what does it mean when a planet is retrograde? Basically means, hey, I'm here, but I don't really want to be here, right? I want to be somewhere else. Now, in my opinion, that somewhere else is the sign exact opposite of that sign, right? So, for example, when Mars is in Cancer, but it's retrograde, it's basically saying, hey, I'm in Cancer, right? I'm not going anywhere. I didn't just disappear or teleport or whatever. I'm still in Cancer, but I kind of want to, I know I should be in Capricorn. I want to be in Capricorn, okay? So, how could this unfold here? Basically, Mars is a little bit ungrounded, emotional, things like that. You're still going to feel that frustration, but you're also going to feel guided to, amongst that frustration and blah, 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 to be as grounded as possible and still be rigid and, as structured as possible. Okay, so this is why it's like it kind of behaves like that, but you're still going to feel the Cancer effects too, right? Also, when Mars is in Cancer, there is a lovely Rahu in Pisces throwing an aspect. So that frustration can also be a little bit increased. Okay. So you're going to feel the effects of everything, right? But this is why we need to increase our own awareness so that we can see how adding each of these little individual effects creates the whole bigger picture, okay? So Rahu here will basically add to that frustration, okay? But you will still kind of feel guided here to be as routine and grounded as possible, okay? Now, how this plays out in your own individual life, there is no way I could tell you in this general video, right? But you can look at your dashas, you can look at your placements, like for example, word cancers and things like that, to kind of see how this could be playing out in your own individual life, right? And once you kind of have a little basis of understanding of how dashas work and how the houses work, right? And I have videos on this. You can just literally look up my channel and like astrology houses or Dasha information or something like that. You can kind of start to piece these things together, okay? But in general, the first half, you will feel a little bit of, and you've kind of already probably started feeling the frustration a little bit as Mars entered Cancer, but you'll kind of feel more and more inclined to be as grounded as possible. Now, remember, the frustration is not going anywhere, but you're going to be grounded and disciplined and all this kind of stuff in an attempt to not get rid of the frustration, not move past the frustration, but work alongside the frustration, right? And you might be thinking, oh, well, what's the benefit of that? There's a benefit to all challenges in life, okay? So hopefully you guys see how this unfolds for you, okay? Now, the second half of this transit, Mars is in Gemini, right? Now, when it's here, we have also a lovely Ketu in Virgo, right? Now, Mars does still throw a fourth aspect on Virgo, and Virgo and Gemini are both Mercury signs, right? And Mercury is all about what? Rational intelligence. Now, first thing off the bat, you would immediately notice is that, so we just came out of this little like frustrating period, okay? And then now we're going into this period where we're transitioning more from like emotional frustration to like mental frustration, okay? I'll expand on that in a bit, but let me just continue. Now, Mars is in Gemini, but like I said, it's retrograde. Now, another thing, I am probably the only one that I ever heard talk about this. The first half of a retrograde is always more intense than the second half, right? Why? Because of the speed. In the first half, the planet is moving faster, backwards, a lot faster than in the second half. It's slowing down, getting ready to go progressive. Okay, this is why even before a retrograde starts, you would probably feel the effects. Before the retrograde starts, you would feel the effect more than the actual end of the retrograde, because that planet, before it goes retrograde, it is slowing down. And I made a video on this. You can look at my retrograde versus and stationary video for more information on this. But basically, point is, the second half of the retrograde is not quite as intense. Okay, the most intense part is like now, and then because it's in Cancer and it's slowing down, and then when it's actually in Cancer, slowing, like actually retrograde, but actually increasing speed going backwards. Okay, and the second half of the transit, it's slowing down going backwards in Gemini, so it's getting ready to go progressive. Okay, which is overall pretty good in this situation, because okay, so we have a Mars in Gemini, right? And it's technically still retrograde, but it is slowing down, right? So it's getting ready to go progressive. And then you have the Ketu in Virgo, right? So right off the bat, your rational intelligence, because both of the signs, Gemini and Virgo, are ruled by Mercury, could be taking a little bit of a hit here, okay? But now you have to understand, okay, how exactly is it taking a hit? Besides just the general, hey, you have to look at your own horoscope and your dashas and things like that. Okay, we know Ketu is in Virgo, which represents your actual rational decision-making ability. And we know Mars is in Gemini, which represents your actual self-efforts and things like that. So your actual self-efforts could be a little bit frustrating, and Ketu your actual rational intelligence could possibly form some interesting conclusions, right? Versus if it was the other way around, it would be a little bit different. Like if Ketu was in Gemini and Mars is in Virgo, it'd be a completely different story, right? And then also when Mars is in Gemini, it happens to aspect Virgo as well, okay? Because if you notice, whenever Mars is in any one of Jupiter or Mercury signs, it always, if it's in one of the four, it always aspects 2 out of the 3 other ones. Okay, because, and this just shows that, see, Jupiter signs are always across Mercury, right? Because they're both supplemental intelligences. Mercury's irrational, and Jupiter's more the spiritual, I guess, that kind of wisdom. So whenever Mars, which is kind of about like anger and aggression and things like that, is in one of them, it kind of throws off the balance. Okay, so if it throws off the balance one place, it's going to throw off the balance in 2/3 of the other places as well. Okay, now moving back to the title of the video. So Mars and Gemini, right? So the second half of the transit, basically, okay, so your self efforts and things like that, you just got out of this emotionally turbulent, I guess you can say, phase, possibly, right? And then now you're kind of going into self efforts. What you do not want to do here is you do not want to outlet all of that emotional frustration mentally in the form of words, right? Like getting mad at people and things like that, or in the form of like just crazy over the top ideas, like some crazy investments, or just not thinking straight. Okay, because your emotions have been kind of tampered with for the previous month or two, and now your thought processing and things like that are a little bit tampered with as well. So we don't need to see emotions and your mental thoughts. They both have different challenges, and they both can have different consequences. Okay, so it's going to be really hard for me to explain the difference between emotional and mental frustrations in one video. That's not the purpose. But basically, my point is just watch your speech, watch anything that Mercury governs for the most part. The period's going to encourage you to kind of use some risk to expand a little bit, which is fine. Just, this is where you have to look at your dashes and things like that. Just be as grounded as possible. Okay, be as careful as possible. Yeah, I think we're gonna close there. Okay. Yeah, just as your awareness goes up, you'll know if you're grounded or not, and you'll know if you're making certain right decisions and things like that. Okay, but I think that's it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to let me know. And until next time, I will talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.